is Ken Hecht, who actually formed the National STEM Honor Society, and he's going to talk a little bit about that as well, but also just some inspiration and motivation too. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ken. I'm also proud to be on your board as well, so thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? First, I'd like to just tell Kelly and Sal and their entire crew what an event, what a powerhouse day, incredible speakers. So thank you. Give it up for these guys. Just amazing. So I'm Ken Hecht. I'm the president of the National STEM Honor Society. We're up in the Boston area. And you're probably wondering, well, who is this guy? So I grew up in the south side of Chicago. I'm one of 5 kids. This is my father's retirement ring from the Chicago Fire Department. And I wanted to tell you this story to tell you where I'm coming from with this whole thing. So, my parents didn't go to college. And I was lucky enough, I was pretty good in science and math and all the way through and up into high school and college. I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, which lo and behold turned out to be this great engineering school. Who knew? So that lit the fire. So it was just a random sort of series of events that brought me here. And what my commitment is that our motto is from K to career. So really STEM from kindergarten all the way through elementary, middle, high school, college, and on to career. And I would love it, the kids not do it my way, which was to get lucky, but to really plan it and program it and to live their lives all the way through. So that's number one. What we're going to talk about today is breaking down the barriers in STEM education. And if I get my little clicker here, check this out. Supposedly there's a little, oh, wait a minute. Oh, geez, sorry, I'm back in that one. The big green one. Which one's the pointer? Down the left. Okay. All right. So what we want to do is start big picture. It's a little bit of a different perspective for everyone, but let's look at the world. Why don't we always start, when we tell a story, let's start with the biggest picture, and that's what we're going to do. Let's start about, this is a little bit about what we're doing, breaking barriers in STEM education, and K to career is our motto. Let's look at the United States. Where are we in STEM? Okay, this is a little graph here. It's the countries with the highest technological expertise ranked by perception. United States, number 4, ranked by perception, most technologically advanced. Others feel Japan, according to this survey, South Korea, China, Germany's right behind us, Russia, UK, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the perception. And then let's talk about a few numbers. Let's look at where we are in the world. This is the countries with the most STEM graduates. As you can see, China is way ahead in graduating 4.7 million STEM grads a year from university. India, 2.6 million. The United States, about 500,000. And so you can see that it's quite stark when you look at the difference. And you might go, well, Ken, don't they have a whole lot more people than we do? Yes, both China and India have 1.4 billion people. We have about 340 million, so they have 4 times as many people as us. But what I'd like to say is even on a per capita basis, you can see that they're really graduating a lot more STEM grads than we are on an annual basis. And you can see Russia is neck and neck with us. Iran is right behind us. Indonesia and Japan in terms of number of STEM graduates. Oops. And then what does this mean about tomorrow? This is a graph that shows the total number of scientists that are going to be in each of these countries in 2030. So as you can see, how do I get my laser to work? Oh, got it. Okay. As you can see, you've got China is going to have about 37% of the scientists in the world in 2030. India, about 26%. Russia, 4.5%, United States, and it goes down and down from there. Even Germany is going to be at 1.4%. This is from the G20, so this is the 20 largest economies in the world. So this really translates STEM degrees into science jobs across the world in 2030. So it's quite incredible what's happening here. This is a bit of a complicated graph, but I want to point this out. It's very important. These orange graphs right here are non-STEM jobs. And you see how this graph is comparing more STEM careers with higher education levels. So we're going to go and we're going to explore together high school or less, college, some college, bachelor's degree, and graduate degree. Now these multicolored areas here, these are the STEM jobs, okay? You can see these STEM jobs up here. And you can see as we go from high school, most of the jobs are non-STEM jobs, and you've got about 8.8% are STEM jobs. That's the kinds of things that our CTE speakers have been talking about. So they're working very hard in this area of high school to make these STEM jobs and the abilities for our kids to have STEM jobs more prominent. And you can see as college goes, as higher levels of education go, you can see, as you look at the STEM jobs, see this graph right here? You see that line? It goes from 8.8 up to here after a bachelor's degree. And then in graduate degree, also it comes down. But when you get up to bachelor's and into the graduate degrees, you can see that there's about twice as many STEM jobs as there are non-STEM jobs when you get that degree. On a bachelor's degree, there's about twice as many STEM jobs as there are non-STEM jobs, and that's the point. So there's a lot going on in here. Suffice to say, the attitude that I want to take right now is we're on an international basis, but you, the educators, are the Navy SEALs. You're on the front lines. You're the people that are going to change these kinds of things that we're seeing on the screen that are really going to help us to contribute to more STEM education and more STEM jobs in the United States going forward. It's been talked a little bit about, but this graph says it all. In terms of STEM careers growing faster than others, as you can see by 2031, on an annual basis, there's going to be a 10.8% increase and only about 4.9% increase in non-STEM jobs. So there's a lot of meat on the bone here. The demand for our STEM grads is gargantuan. CTE, high school, college, grad school. The demand is off the charts. The supply is so restricted. The corporations are having to go in there and wanting to go in there to support us in our activities. And it is a fascinating time to have everyone pulling in the government, corporations, and education all pulling in the same direction to help to improve the situation. So what can we do together to have a positive impact? And what I want to do is take you back now to 2017. That's the year that the concept of the National STEM Honor Society was created. And I want to, as educators, I want to invite you into the thought process like, well, geez, if I was going to do something like that, how would I design it? So that's what I'd like you to do. So think about as we go through this, would you have designed it that way? And this is what we've done to help to solve the problems that we just talked about on a worldwide basis, okay? First thing is we came up with a mission, of course. And our mission is to inspire innovation and recognize student excellence from K to career in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That is our mission. And really, this is, as an example, this is the Rachel Patterson Elementary School in Alabama. They're a chapter of ours. And as you can see, it's an underserved community. And their induction ceremony was an absolutely rock concert. The parents are there, this was on ABC TV. This induction ceremony for about 2 minutes on their local ABC affiliate. Really exciting. So the first thing we would do is we would design our mission statement together in 2017, and that's what we did. The next thing we would do is we think about, well, what students are we talking about, and how is this whole thing going to work? And what we decided that it really made a lot of sense for this to be a feeder program, much like sports, okay? So if you think about the National STEM Honor Society and a sports thing, in sports you've got, you got elementary school sports kids, you got kids playing soccer in first grade, and then they go on to middle school, usually in youth sports, then high school and college, they have athletic teams, of course. And so this is really the feeder nature of the program. It goes K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, college and university. And one of the things that we thought about was, what are the personas of each of these grade levels? What is the persona? What's happening in the teacher's head? What's happening in the student's head? That's what we're trying to figure out, right? Let's take high school, for example, okay? So in high school, how many are high school teachers? Okay, we got a few high school teachers, but in high school, the teacher and the student are really quite together, that there's some anxiety there. What am I going to do with my life? I don't know if I want to go into the working world right away, if I want to go to college. Oh my God, what college am I going to get into? All this kind of stuff. So the teacher and the student are together. They want recognition to help them get onto their resume to go to college. They also want project-based learning, and lots of it. Why? So they can take different bites of different types of pizza, and they can start to decide, I think I really like that chemistry, or the social aspects of some of the STEM areas were really attractive to me. So this is really a little bit about the high school student. Then when you go back to the first grade educator, and that first grade educator, first of all, elementary school teachers, about 80% are female, so she probably doesn't have a physics or a chemistry or an advanced mathematics degree, probably an elementary education school teacher. So one of the things that we're charged with, and I'd invite you into the design, is to how do we crack the code of K to career and have that teacher have the confidence to bring STEM into their classroom. And fortunately, you've seen there's a lot of products, there's a lot of great people out there that are really trying to crack this code to allow education, STEM education, to be taught by non-STEM teachers. So that's what's happening at the teacher level in the first grade. And the student at first grade is somewhere between a molecule and a sponge. I mean, they're walking around, they just can't wait to get turned on. They're looking for things that are going to attract them, and that's where we want to get them. We want to get kids early on in STEM, beginning in kindergarten, and we want to have that excitement and that passion last a lifetime. That's really what it's all about. And the thing is, if you were designing this, how would you unleash your students' passion? That's what we're trying to, and potential. The first thing, I'm going to go through this, but it would be, you're the National STEM Honor Society. There should be a recognition component. There would be project-based learning. Okay, other things you might put in there as you're designing this. There should be resources. Future readiness, that's what it's all about, and leadership. This is, of course, recognition. People say, you must be the National Honor Society only for STEM. Well, kind of. The only thing is, there's lots of differences, but one of them is that the kids get National STEM Honor Society in kindergarten. Then they get it in first grade. Then they get it in second grade. They get it in third and fourth and fifth and sixth grade, and all the way through. And someday someone's going to run the table, one of these students. They're going to start in kindergarten. They're going to go all the way through high school. And when they do, they'll have over a half a year, a working year of project-based learning under their belt. How's it like to have that kid coming to your college? How's it like to have that kid coming to work at your company? It's really exciting, all the project-based learning. So this is one of our chapters in New York. Of course, we talked at the PTA. I'm going to the breakout session. I can't wait for the PTA thing. But if you really want to excite parents, and particularly in elementary and middle school, get a National STEM Honor Society chapter. Because these parents, they're so used to the kids playing soccer, then they're going to play basketball, and then they're going to go do this, and they're going to do that, and hang out. But where is that STEM kid? How do we get that community? When kids are, let's take a first grader, and they're off playing soccer, right? And the parents are on the sidelines. First grade is their first game, and they score in the wrong net. They literally score in the wrong net, and they think they won the World Cup, and they're all celebrating, right? And the parents are cracking up on the sidelines. Then what happens? Well, then they're inviting everybody over to the house to have a barbecue, and the kids are kicking the soccer ball in the backyard. What forms? A community forms. Sports communities, we all know all about them. Got the basketball, soccer, this, that. What we're working on is forming that STEM community in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. That's what we're really trying to do. Recognition is an important component. Project-based learning. One of the things that, and I was talking with Claudia of MIT, we had a great lunch, and we talked about problem-based learning. So what we're trying to do is have the kids think about things like you guys are doing, problem-based learning, where the kids are really coming home, and they come home, they're in fifth grade, and they go, well, how was the day today? Well, we're working on petrochemical and alternative fuel. In New Orleans, we're working on the flooding. In Texas, we're working on the electrical grid. And in Florida, we're trying to keep the state from going underwater, But these are real-world problems that we want our kids to work on, and they get very excited when it's real-world problems and it really makes a difference. So a couple other axioms. One, mentorship is super important. We want the older kids helping the younger kids, right? We want the high school kids helping out with the middle school kids. We want the middle school kids helping out with the elementary school kids. Because when a high school kid walks into a middle or elementary school, they're like, oh my God, look at that. That's almost a man. It's almost a woman, And it's just so impressive, right? So that's what we want, is mentorship. So just a few things about project-based learning. And it's really at the intersection also of book learning and project-based learning. When you add book learning, and we're talking about, just in the previous session, how trying to match up this timing of mathematics and science So that in week 7, they're actually talking about the same thing and they intersect. But really, when you combine just overall book learning and project-based learning, 1 + 1 = 10. Because the application is that that's why I'm studying molecules? How cool is that? All right. The next is resources. Everyone needs resources. We got a job to do. We're resource short. And so if you were designing the National STEM Honor Society, you'd say, let's have resources. Well, that's what we did. So starting in 2017, we built a database of thousands of resources, and it's all sortable by grade level, state, and type of resource. So you could go Florida, robotics, elementary school. Boom, and they all pop up. You can go New York, robots, high school, and they all pop up. So it's this incredible curated library that comes with it. So it really is ready resource for everyone. In fact, there's around if you're interested, there's around $300 million worth of STEM scholarships and grants right now on the website. And it's all sortable by state and national and all that kind of stuff. So check that out. And then, of course, future readiness. This is what it's all about. I was on the phone with Project Lead the Way. I'm sure a number of you are familiar with them, right? And the fellow I was talking to goes, Ken, do you know how much the average college grad makes coming out of college right now? I said, this is about a year old. He goes, $54,000. I said, that's interesting. Do you know how much the average STEM graduate makes right now coming out of college? I'm like, no, $103,000. From $54,000 to $103,000. What does that do? It changes that kid's life. It changes the trajectory of that kid's life. It changes the family of that kid, and you know what? It can change the community that kid goes back into. They could own their own company, they could be a great person in their community and raise a family on a great salary, and that's just starting salaries. So there's a lot riding here. There's a lot of meat on the bone with what we're all doing, future readiness for our kids. And finally, leadership. We don't just, if we were designing it together in 2017, we'd go, yes, we'd like science, technology, engineering, math, but we want to enhance the leadership of these kids. As we were talking about, George from MIT was like, what we really need is we need leaders in STEM. We need STEM, and we need leaders in STEM. Way up here, big demand, big demand. How do we do that? How do we build leaders in STEM? Well, one of the ways we do that is that we have chapter officers. So you see this girl here in the middle? Say she's in 5th grade. And she is the president of her National STEM Honor Society chapter in 5th grade. And she's got a vice president, she's got a secretary, she's got a vice president of social media, of course, right? So she's got all this stuff's going on. And by the way, teachers are busy, right? Any teachers busy in here? I don't think so. Yeah, very busy, right? So teachers are busy. So what's one of the greatest ways to save you time and to enrich your students? Delegate to them. So as opposed to if you're the chapter advisor, as opposed to you putting together the agenda, you ask this girl in the middle, would you mind putting together the agenda for our meetings? What's an agenda? That's where all the cool stuff we're going to do. That's what we're going to. I'd be happy to. Isn't that cool? And now we've got a leadership opportunity for our students. You're probably thinking, well, what the heck is this really all about? And I don't want to spend much time on here because I've got to go. But there's basically 3 requirements. If you were designing this with us in 2017, you'd go, well, what should be the requirements? The first one is GPA in STEM classes only. That's a 3.0. Why is it a 3.0? Inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. We want a gazillion kids fired up about STEM. That's what we want. So chapters can raise the GPA to a 3.25 or a 3.5, whatever they want, but they can't lower it. Inclusion. In addition, I want you to understand that the GPA requirement, which is column 1, is only on the last grading period. We don't want kids to be held back by cumulative GPA. No, they get that GPA in STEM classes only, they ring that bell, they're in. So very exciting. Column number 2 is STEM classroom hours. And that's a requirement. Most of the teachers in the room are going, got it, GPA. Yeah, STEM classroom hours has got to be, the science, the math, the, et cetera, et cetera. They're going, got it. So column B and column C are both on a 12-month annual look back. So the reality is a lot of your students have already made these requirements, and they're not getting the recognition, perhaps. And then column 3 is really the excitement. That's where the requirement is the number hours annually of project-based learning enrichment. And that's with all the cool stuff we've been talking about. Dan, you're your talk was just great. I mean, there's so many project-based learning. There's so many incredible things. Lunch with MIT, everyone's got all kinds of great stuff. It's bringing into the classroom project-based learning, and that's a 12-month look back as well. Starting a chapter, we said, well, let's make sure starting a chapter is easy. So it is, you go to the website, it's obligatory information. The number one thing, you guys ready? If you want a good football team, what do you need? A coach, right? Want a good soccer team, what do you need? Coach. We call them chapter advisors, okay? So if you want a great chapter, get a great chapter advisor or co-advisors. And these are people, we call them the STEM champions. They're all excited about STEM. Everyone in this room qualifies, right? I mean, you're here at a STEM conference because you are the STEM champions. So that's really what you want to do, is to have a successful chapter, is to get that commitment from the administration, of course, and also to have that chapter advisor. This is Notre Dame Prep in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I thought this was really cool. See this thing over here? So on each of those gears is the name of one of the members of their National STEM Honor Society chapter, and when you turn one, they all turn. Dan, isn't that cool? They made that, right? So anyways, come on. There we go. And of course, if you were designing it in 2017, you'd go, well, how do we stick with these teachers? How do we make sure these educators are really getting our support day and night? And that's what our member care department is all about. So it's really a design that I hope that you would have designed it the same way as we did, and to take advantage of all the types of things we have available. And then, of course, the recognition. Kids love recognition. Oh, my God. The parents love the recognition. And really, more and more prominently, you're getting into the different schools as they progress. It's going to be a real factor in that as well. And a lot of schools get this down, and they put it in there. It's much like what you see around here, but they put it in their lobby, and the kids are like, we've got a National STEM Honor Society chapter? How cool is that? And you can't, it takes a village. Everybody in here. So these are our partners, and you can see ITEA, who's at the conference now. Thurgood Marshall Center Trust is a big partner of ours. One Lesson, as you know, is on our advisory council. So we've got a tremendous number of incredible partners, and thank you.